Hey YouTube, how you guys doing today? Kevin here, coming back at you with another video. So working on the Andrew build, and I was actually able just to twist the fender a little bit to get my clearance for the plug, which worked out amazing. So I didn't have to put any spaces. Pretty much, I put the petcock on, fuel line. You see right there. Put the fuel filter, and it's all hooked up to the carb. The coil wire is not hooked up. That's a short wire. I got to get a longer one this week. The engine's completely mounted down except for the front mount. And then that's pretty much it where I left off. So the petcock's on, fuel line's hooked up, oil line's hooked up, oil line's bled. All the mounts are made in the back of the engine. We just got to do the front one. Tank and seat are bolted back on. We still need to get a, whatchamacallit there? A rear brake line cable, I should say. We got the stud grinder down right there. We're going to clean it up a little bit more, probably with a finish file. Finish that off so it doesn't look like it's been grinded. And then we got to start on the exhaust. Be starting on that next week. I got to order some parts for that. So as soon as those come in, we'll be working on the exhaust. We're going to fire this off without the exhaust on it this week after the front mount is made. And then we're going to go through, because I want to hear the engine run, but most of all I want to make sure that the alternator is charging, or the stator, whatever you want to call it, is charging and the lights come on, because that's a big major thing. So today we're going to work on the throttle cable assembly and get the throttle cable on, because, well, the original cable is snapped right clear off. And we want to make sure that the throttle cable is going to work on this bike. So I have a throttle cable from a KV75 MT1, same cable. We're going to disembowel it and modify it to fit this bike. But the way we're going to do it is going to impress you, because we are going to keep it so that when I do put the KV75 motor back on this, or the MT1 motor, I'll still be able to use that throttle cable. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do that, and let's see if you guys understand, and we'll get crack-a-lacking. Okay, so this is a factory cable, not a reproduction cable. So that makes these very, very rare. And we don't want to destroy this in any way, shape, or form, because, and it's real simple, because when I put this engine back on, I'm going to want to use that factory cable again. However, we don't need, see how it's got one cable and it goes into two right here in that union, and then one of them is for the carburetor right here, this one, and then the other one's for the oil, the automatic oil pump. So we're going to take the automatic oil pump off. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this, and it's really, really simple. So what you're going to do is grab it here and here, kind of rock it back and forth until it pops apart like that, and then you can just take your cables and they pop off. Just like so. Then we're going to take the cable we don't need off, and it pops out. Just like so. And we'll take that out here. We'll put that, we'll tag that and bag it. And then we got this. So we're going to take that piece again, stick this back into here, slide it all together, and now we have just a throttle cable. Now, we don't want to get any crud or crap in here, and we want to plug it. But we got to plug it with something we can, what do you call it there? Something that we can pull easily out. And for that, we're going to use a hot glue gun. So as soon as that warms up to a point where we can use it, we will get onto that. So while that's heating up, we're going to take some WD-40. We're just going to spray it on the end, like that. This is the little rubber grommet that came with our new carburetor. And we're going to slide this over, if we can. Oh, there we go. Like that, so it fits over it and protects it nicely. Okay, so we're adding this part onto the, what do you call it there? Onto it. Alright. Let's check on that. See if any progress has been made. Nope, not quite. So while it's heating up, we'll start taking the head apart here, the hand grip. So this has already been loose. I don't think there's actually a cable in it still. Feels like it. Yep, there is. Okay, so we're going to screw that there. Got 3 screws underneath. And all 3 screws are the same size. Okay. Because I'm knocking everything over everywhere. Not that big of a deal. Pull it apart a little bit like that. Comes down. Grab and twist this out. This is actually a factory one. Aluminum housing, guys. Look at that, huh? And the cable is just desecrated in there. Pop that out. Okay, cool. We're going to spray the tube down and this with the WD-40 as well. So I'm going to go get the WD-40. Okay. Nice. Then we're going to move down to the carburetor. Alright, I looked over and it was leaking everywhere. So I just used the hot glue gun to fill in that little hole right there. The cool thing about this is if you pop it back off, you can use a Phillips screwdriver and pop it right back out. So it's good for it's good to save, and it won't hurt anything. Okay, so while we're up here now, instead of doing the carburetor first, we'll put up in here first. Okay, just open it up all the way, spray it down. As much as you can. Slide it through. Tighten it up as much as you can. Now a piece sticks out on this side over here. This is kind of an all fingers thing here. Okay. Get that set into place. Make sure it goes all the way in. I just went all the way through the other side. Make sure it goes all the way in and seats in properly. That's very important. And of course when you spray it down, it's going to make it very difficult to do. Okay, let's put the screws back into this thing. I tell you this, start all your screws first. Don't just, what do you call it there? Go gun-ho, you know what I mean? And wind the first one down. Start them all so you can see where they sit, because you want that wire to be rested where it's supposed to be. Okay, now I got all of them in there started. I see where I want it. Then adjust them all up. Okay. Now those are all done. I'll grab my pliers. I'll snug that nut, the jam nut. I'm not going to go crazy tightening it. And that, my friends, is how you put the top part of the cable on. Now for the bottom part of the cable, real simple. We'll loop it to where we want to loop it to. And I'm going to shrink you guys down. Okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me on this one because I've never had one of these carburetors apart. This is the first time actually having this engine on anything, so I'm just hoping it all works out swell, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna loosen up the intake clamp bolt so I can rotate the carb, or even take it off. Get it with rotating it. There were 2 screws holding it in. It looks like we'll have to take it off. Comes off easy. 2 screws back here where the choke is. So those hold the slide on. With that removed, the whole entire piece comes out. Just like so. Okay. 2 screws out, there's a gasket in there, and then you got your plunger for your choke. Big spring, and then of course your carburetor slide, which mine isn't sliding too well right at the moment. Let me go get a tiny little pick to pick that out. Okay, I got out the slide. I just tipped the carburetor up on its end and it popped right out. So what we're going to do first, we're going to take the carburetor, slide the cable through, and see if I can get that to seat in there like so. Okay, now that right there is a little too big right there. See that? So I'm going to actually drill. I'm going to bore this out just a wee bit. Right back. Okay. So I stopped back and thought about it. I was going to bore that out, but I decided against it. So what I did was I took another throttle cable that I had that has the send on it. It's a good cable. This also came off of a KV75. So we're going to switch out the ends. So we're going to pull this back off. This rubber piece that don't belong on it. And then we're going to break it back up in here. Take this cable out. Which just pops out. And then we're going to pop this new cable in. So you don't want to ruin, I don't want to destroy things, you know what I mean? I want to keep them as factory as humanly possible and work exactly the way they were meant to work. Okay, so now we have this style throttle cable on here, which I think will work a lot better for us on what we're doing. And of course we want to slide this piece over it, like so. We're going to have to free it up at the handle grips, but that's alright, we can do that. This piece right here will fit right in there nicely. You see what I'm doing here? And then we'll have to wind in the upper part. When I say upper part, I mean there's a, see if I can get you guys to focus in on it. Hold on a second, I gotta raise you guys up a little bit. Get you guys up in there. See how it's out quite a ways? We're going to try loosening up that jam nut. And wind this cable in. This is also a throttle cable adjustment. That's going to wind it in and give us maximum slack down bottom. Remember, this cable wasn't designed to work on this bike, on this carburetor. There we go, got some space there now. Pull back the spring. And then we'll put this, hook this into here. And that'll sit like that in the carb. And then we can then go ahead, adjust it here as well, give it as much slack as we can. It's already into it, and then we'll set it into the carb. Setting it into the carb is going to be a little tricky at the moment because of the way it's situated, but nevertheless we can get it. And I dropped the screw, so I gotta find out what I did with that screw. There is a groove on the side of the carb where this sits onto. Plunger right there. Okay. Alright, so I got the other screw. Dropped it on the other side over there. And that's going to go on this side over here. Yeah, I was going to drill it out, but I decided against it because I didn't want to ruin this carburetor. And if they have the throttle cable, might as well just use the proper one for it, you know what I mean? We'll set up this one here first. Well, it's not really the proper throttle cable, but it's the throttle cable for this bike. I gotta find out why that's giving me a hard time. Right back. Alright. I had to fix that gasket that was on there. Screw it all down nice and snug. Then look in the port, make sure that the slide, which this one is, all the way down, and the throttle cable's working. It goes full throttle, all the way down. Full throttle, all the way down. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so we got the throttle cable hooked up. We have basically everything we need to get this thing going like that. Okay, that's all sitting in there where we want it. The throttle cable is in a good spot. Can't really complain, you know. Hold on a second. Going to maneuver this cable here this way. All right. Throttle cable feels good. I had to put the cable back in here, so I'm going to double check it. Always double check it. If you feel like it's not 100%, double check it. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So we have the throttle cables hooked up and in. It's to where it needs to be. Vent line down like so. Nice. And that, my friends, is how you do the throttle cable modification. So this piece of throttle cable right here, the old one from the old style throttle cable, we're going to keep that. We're going to hold on to it because this is a good cable to have. I always save all my little bits and pieces because these will come in handy later on down the road. On another build, maybe I find a factory bike, it's missing some of the stuff, I have it. Or if my bike happens to break one of these cables, I have a spare. Alright, so let's get cracking on the other side here, guys. We got one thing left to do on this side over here, and that's the shifter. And I have a shifter. I've got a few shifters. This one's a little bent, but I'm not too worried about it because we can always straighten it after. Don't have the spline. It looks like the spline is different on this factory shifter. So give me a minute. Let's see if I can find the factory one for this. Alright, I found one for this motor. That's going to fit on there nicely. Just going to tap it on a little bit. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo. Alright, so we got the shifter on. We got that part done. So let's take a quick peek. See where we're at today. So today, we've got the throttle cable on. The shifter is done. We still got to do the, the ignition coil wire which hopefully I'll get that this week. So we confirmed that the throttle goes all the way to the bottom and all the way up to the top. Works out great. No problems with that. Kickstart is cleared. So, wow, we are moving right along. So we just need that coil wire, guys, and then this thing will fire up. Man, I even checked a couple of other coils. That's a factory KV 75 MT1 coil. I was going to cut up and use if it fit, but it didn't fit. It was still too short. So, that's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. So, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will talk to you guys later.